I could finally relax. I wonder what I'm going to be doing today. Huh. And plus, the good news is that I'm very happy to see the Seahawks being in the Super Bowl. Or should I say, Seahawks and Rams are kind of being close at the Super Bowl. Oh man, I better hope the Seahawks or Rams could still win the game in NFL because I'm so excited to see 7-7 pretty much being on the teams of NFL because I'm this excited to actually just enjoy the best team I could ever see that will finally win NFL once and for all. And then as in Oregon Ducks, I haven't really even talked about that either, but hey, at least I'm happy to see two teams being in the game, so damn, that would be damn. But the only one problem is to get rid of the stupid Chiefs. It's great, just great. But anyways, at least I'll be proud to see the two teams still considers winning NFL anyway, but I don't know. All right. Well, at least I'm gonna probably just take a look for it myself, and see which ones are gonna still probably win or not win. I mean, the only good news is that I'm finally excited to see which one of them goes exactly. Is bye bye stupid 49ers, and of course get rid of Rams. And then the only next problem is to get rid of is the hated team that I just never liked is Green Bay. Well, hope to see which ones are going to probably go or not to be. But, anyways, I'm going to just go ahead and check it out and see what I have to look for. Hello. This is Devin-Foxy Remastered. May I help you? Ah, yes. Hello there, Mr. Devin-Foxy Remastered. I am David Parks, the owner of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the owner of the establishment. So, anyway, I just came to call you that, well, I actually need you here for something in the pizzeria. That I definitely need a meeting with you and a word with you since, you came like pretty much back exactly whenever the time you came back and just talked with like Freddie and the others, exactly about like the season. Yeah, I'll probably like want to be talking to you with that part exactly and then see where we can go on with it. I mean, I know you already talked with Freddie about the question about that with Freddie and his friends, but you haven't basically talked about with me with that part, so I actually decided and say is like, you know what? Hey, I actually will probably want to be talking with you on that. And then especially you'll get time to talk to Golden Freight at the end of the meeting, which you'll probably will have that anyway, so that's just what I want to talk to you about. Oh yeah, about the season. Okay, well, I actually will tell you what, David Parks. I will actually be on my way to the first location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and then I'll be sure to talk to you in the meeting and see what we can discuss about, like, when we can release the subscriber special around, like, the 600 or 700 thing deal, since I've actually did talk to Freddy Fazbear with that idea, and he simply did agreed with pretty much with his friends that actually decidedly agreed, since since I barely did give him another reason to wait for a bit after when I actually am getting my gameplays a bit finished and to try to wrap some of them up. But I'll actually will do my best to see what I can do, David Parks, and then we'll have a discussion since we're gonna probably have that topic anyway to talk about that right now. So yes, I'll definitely be on my way. All right then. Thank you, Devin-Foxy Remastered. Thank you. And also, once you're there, by the way, then we'll talk. By the way, thank you. And I'll see you later. And I'll see you in the first thing when you actually come here to the first location with Freddy and his friends, and that's where I'll be meeting you here. All right, I'll see you and catch you later. All right, over and out. Bye. Okay, I'll see you later too, man. All right, see ya. Bye. All right, guess I will probably head to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the very first original. Okay, well, guess I will have to go ahead and talk to David Parks, since it's going to be probably be me and him talking. So yeah, guess I'll talk to him for a bit with the meeting and see what we can be playing up with the season. Like the very first actual season that I'll be doing for my first channel, like since for like the very first time ever doing like a scary horror season and pretty much entertainment too. Which I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's gonna be pretty interesting for me to talk to David Parks, the owner of the establishment of the pizzeria. Alright, well, guess it's time I will get going anyway and see what he's up to. Hello there, Mr. Devin-Foxy Remastered. You appeared right on time. And also, let's get on to the meeting. And I have to say, you did pretty good job using teleportations. Like, since when did you probably learn all of that? Well, all I can say, by the way, Mr. David, by the way, I actually have the powers of, like, half powers of Golden Freddy's powers, which basically I can always, like, teleport. Even if I'm red or yellow, it will still make me keep teleporting. As long, like I said again, David, is that Golden Freddy and I, well, we were just having a talk to learn about teleportation, and then he probably just, like, gave me a bit of transformation of powers to him to me, so that way that we'll both teleport at different timing zones or different times, where that could be useful of using, like, being aware of where I teleport to. That's pretty much what I can say. Touche. Very touche. Interesting. Well, all I can say is that, well, your teleportation is doing pretty good. I'll say that you're doing pretty good there, Devin-Foxy Master. You're doing very good with teleporting. Now, anyway, let's get started with the meeting. Since we can barely talk about when we're going to start with, like, whenever we can get things started and settled about, like, your subscriber special and stuff. You know, about, like, mentioning the 600 and then 701, I think. Alright, amigo, let's start the meeting. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about in this meeting, Devin-Foxy Remastered. So here's how we're going to talk about this meeting, that we could actually have a discussion about when we can release the season of, like, the Five Nights at Freddy's season plush. You know, that might be an official. So I actually did want to have received a word for you, basically. So I know you did say that you've probably made, like, the Sonic season plush, the Angry Birds season plush, the Super Mario Bros. Season plush, and then finally last is the Plants vs. Zombies plush, but basically in the end that you actually decided that you probably had it, like, in pretty much in different multiverses, which was actually pretty good. I have to say, not gonna lie, that was actually pretty very smooth and interesting that you did back there. You know, the last part that you did with the other season, which was pretty much Plants vs. Zombies season plush. And I have to say that you did a very great job doing that, by the way. Very nice work. So, again, all I have to say is that, well, let's just get to the basic point of, like, the point we're going to get right to the center of the point. Just only Five Nights at Freddy's logic. Just, you know, a bit of the logic of that one. Why, thank you, David Parks. Why, thank you. And I will have to say, I do might as well admit now exactly, since I've actually did realize after what pretty much went to the events with Plants vs. Zombies season plush of mine, which I have to say that there were different basic events that were pretty much going on back there in the longest time with P vs. Z, for example. Like, it got pretty better. Like, it actually got very better once it actually did got pretty better. And then there were, like, a few different close-ups with my other season with Mario lately. And then, of course, with Angry Birds. Well, it got pretty easier as it goes with that, too. And then as for, like, the Sonic one, well, it may have not been perfect, but it still kind of went alright, as I have to speak and say for the most likely of this meeting. And I have to say, thank you very much for saying that you actually kind of agreed on the last part there, David. And, okay, so how am I going to say what we're going to start here with the meeting? Is that, tell you what, David Parks, tell you what, is that how about if we ever start with, like, releasing the Five Nights at Freddy's season plush once we are going to be doing it for the 700 subscriber special. I mean, it'll actually kind of borrow me some time and also some good reflecting for a bit, and then just have like a bit of timing to reflect, and most likely have every single role to be pretty much made by me, and then pretty much get like every animatronics voices that'll probably be still be my voice, but into theirs while they're doing the season and stuff. Like, while they're talking with each other and just doing whatever. And then, yes, again, the animatronics can still try to merely and nearly can kill the security guard whenever it's at different random time, whenever it's around like the 12 a.m. from 6. Basically, like the same way it goes with like from the game all the way to the plush version, which that's pretty much what I can say so to be. And yeah, that's what I want to tell you about that, David Parks. Well, I do say, and I mean, not gonna lie right there, I have to say that I do agree, actually. Even though I am pretty much am the owner of the establishment of the pizzeria, I could definitely agree on some terms with you, by the way, with some good agreeing terms, but having a bit of like some parts of the video where the animatronics can try to instantly kill the guard and then try to have like a bit more spare time as more likely, and then give the security guard a little bit more time for how the security guard may win or lose, depending each animatronic that can try to scare him, which that's pretty much where that can go. And I'll say this, that well, I was kind of thinking that we could barely make more episodes once ever we do start with like the special, and then try to get on with how this can all still remain to be actively started, and where we could barely make like the very first episode and the first day for however that we'll get things settled and started. And also tell you what about like whenever we can start on with Fredbear's Family Diner, that I did receive another call from somebody else from another side of the building that was pretty much like, I remember the only person who still considered owning the place and Fredbear's Family Diner is Fred. More likely, Fred. That, well, as I did talk to Fred, after when he did still said that he still gave himself, like, some time to drink some tea and then try to get on with his spare time, which he pretty much gave himself some time to think and have another solution away around and see where we can get to the season to start. And then he consumed to started asking me the question that he said is like, how about we start about doing Fredbear's Family Diner? And then I did talk to him afterwards, and then we both agreed on the same thing. And we pretty much would have to say that we'll start on with like Fredbear and Friends, and Fredbear's Family Diner. It only will start with like the two main casts that will pretty much consume to be Fredbear and then Spring Bonnie. That actually will be in the very Fredbear's Family Diner that can still remain to start from both parts, having the exact same way of having it to be from the beginning, and then from FNAF 4, that we might actually be doing that in similar parts, that there might be a few jump cuts, or even maybe that there might be some deleted scenes that we might actually be adding back whenever it's just like, I don't know, starting on with like FNAF 4 Season Plush, and that's when we can try to continue to do more interesting stuff. And what do you actually think, by the way, there, Devin-Foxy? Like, what do you think? Is it pretty interesting, by the way? I see. Well, that's actually a good idea, by the way, David Parks. That's a good idea, David. I will have to say, not gonna lie, that after when you said that you were talking to Fred, when you were talking to him on the phone, I have to say that after a few words that you said there was actually very quite interesting and very intelligent. A little bit of that, which I could say at the least of most likely of different concerns that, well, that was a pretty, well, slightly interesting way that you told me about when you were talking to Fred on the phone. About pretty much him being the owner of Fredbear's Family Diner. And that was pretty cool when you said that. And I mean, not gonna lie with you by any chance again, that I actually will have to say that two ideas could really actually work. One could pretty much go in from the beginning, that will actually only have Fred, and then of course Spring Bonnie in the beginning, which pretty much it'll still have to be there anyway, which yeah, that actually is a pretty good idea. I'll still say that it's actually a pretty good idea. And then I'll admit the fact that, well, we'll start and say this that, well, Fred will probably be like, Fredbear could probably be like the main character, and then, most likely some characters will be the different main characters of the entire time, when it only becomes to be the only one who is the pretty much the head and the face of Freddy Fazbear's, as pretty much from the center animatronics. Which I have to say, not gonna lie, by the way, that was pretty cool. And yes, I'll actually agree with you on that kind of part of the idea where you said that we'll probably be adding it from the beginning. It will only just be Fredbear and Spring Bonnie talking on the stage, doing whatsoever. But I'll say this is that that's a pretty good idea. I'll agree to your idea. Like, the idea is a very good idea term. Like, that was a very good idea. And I could say this, man, that, well, again, I'll actually think about having the deleted scenes back in Fredbear's Family Diner. Like, once we do have the idea to pretty much do the deleted scenes with pretty much with the other pretty much events that we can do is just like have deleted scenes being onto like reconnected back to the nightmare house, that pretty much after once we do receive some bit of different intelligence for seeing what we can actually try to do to see to make it more scarier, or even hell, make it pretty bit interesting and better, that we can put on some deleted scenes back and then in Fredbear's Family Diner, like whenever that Fredbear and then Spring Bonnie were still kind of like being alive while being separated by being pretty much being brothers. Which I gotta say, that is actually a pretty good idea, David Parks. And I'll actually will say is that that term I can do is I'll say that I'll agree to the idea. And then what about the rest of everything else, by the way? Well, I could say I agree on those parts. I agree. I agree. That I'll say is that the idea you said pretty much there, Devin-Foxy Remastered, is a very interesting idea that you said, and yeah, I'll actually agree to most likely the idea with the deleted scenes whenever it's reconnected with, I don't know, pretty much with like FNAF 4 season plush, and then pretty much with everything else being in different connections. That that there will be deleted scenes that comes on by with some characters that may return or may never return to come back at all. Which it actually is a very good appointment, a very good idea, and it's very well done, approved, and very proven points that I have to say that I'll give for you. By the way, Dan Foxy, is that it was a very good idea you said there, and I actually might as well appreciate the idea for that. And then, oh, as in for like everything else that comes into play, well, let's just say we're going to pretty much bring most likely the idea that goes in order of like the FNAF timeline. That we'll only consider having that in order and just have like where it pretty much all started, back in Fredbear's. Just usually in Fredbear's and then in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, like the first and then Fredbear's. Like we're only going to pretty much bring two similar collabs by seeing which ones could still benefit better, which it'll still be Fredbear's Family Diner that still benefits better than Freddy Fazbear's the original. But all I can say that we're only going to probably be adding like two animatronics, and then of course the puppet in the box, which will probably get like characters to do their scripts or do maybe their roles of talking. I mean, they don't have to do scripts or anything. They just pretty much have to do like what they're being told to do, to be on the order of what they're doing, and just see who's going to be the side of good or evil. Which neither of the characters that might be on good or evil, that most similar ones that might probably will have to be, which I mean, the only thing I can say this that, well, the animatronics can have their own time just being good or evil, which, as long as some things exist and most likely in different FNAF universes or different multiverses of it, then that's exactly what we're going to probably consider and find similar ways that might be in a different spot or pretty much in a different, in a different loop, that we'll actually just put it in a time where we can do that and see where that goes. And I'll admit that I'll be excited to say this, that it's a very good idea. I mean, I'll say that's a very good idea. There, Devin-Foxy. So, what I'm going to pretty much talk about first is with Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the first original one. So, after when pretty much like the animatronics get rebuilt as not being unwithered anymore, they pretty much will have to pretty much be the originals and know what they're even doing or know what's going on until like I don't know, a specific figure that might be Puppet or just a yellow bear in general that might be knowing what's going on to speak with them, which that's pretty much the only way that they're going to have two different roles to be added, which it depends on the people to know who is going to say who by either having Golden Freddy or Puppet to explain with them anyway. But as in for Puppet, he probably will not be in some parts in like the first restaurant. It only will be in the second location for being in the second location. So, that pretty much will have like its good balance or have its good reason and sources to pretty much even have that considered. And then, oh yes, as in for like the security guards' role, let's just say the security guards are pretty much going to be at random. You know, like random security guards that isn't Mike Schmidt, which we'll pretty much consider having Mike Schmidt being in some parts of the shift, but whenever it's going to be a random security guard, that's when we get to have them to be in a random spot for that guard to actually do the position. They will like follow the rules and do the ordering how more likely every night that consumes to do the night. So that's probably what's going to go on. And then in the second location, we're going to have to pretty much have another idea, having like the Unwithereds being back to being Unwithereds again, and then formally again being Withered animatronics, and then the replacements that will be the toys that will be on the stage. And then, as in for like what's going to go on with the third location there, I think the third location will have like an idea where we can put like literally any character that we can put that's only consumed to be FNAF logic, that's only going to have to pretty much be the character that might be the Phantoms or nearly uh, the guy that pretty much was behind it all, or something like that. Oh, I see. I see. So you're telling me that most of the characters will have to pretty much be in kind of like in each pizzerias that they will be separated into the pizzerias. So all I could probably notify and just say is that at least pretty much like there'll be only like the verses that we comes back exactly that will probably be like the Unwithereds again that goes into the second location and just be on the stage and entertain children. But whenever something goes wrong again, then that's pretty much what goes on, what happens. And I think I could really go on and just say for the least of the matter that it'll probably be more likely very interesting to see. So I could say that when the Unwithereds are pretty much consumed to be damaged, or pretty much have a little bit of damage things that's going on with their systems, then they could pretty much be into the parts and services where two engineers could probably be like fixing the animatronics, but it'll probably be more likely being wizards and pretty much being withered animatronics. So I think that probably would be a different idea as we can say it. That is a pretty interesting idea. And then for the replacements of the toys, well, that would pretty much be an interesting move, which it'll pretty much be in different roles. That's actually pretty good there, David Parks. I like it. And I think I have to say the voices remain to be the same, but as in for like the Withered animatronics' voice boxes, oh yeah, they'll still be the same, but they're more likely going to be glitched, and pretty much will have to be a little bit glitched and withered like exactly and being glitched, or pretty much have like a few amount of functions in their systems after they speak or whatever, but you know, it's just probably what I can say from that. And then after you did mention Fazbear's Fright, after you did mention about with like the phantoms and stuff there Parks is that yeah. Who knew that purple guy still returns back? And speaking of purple guy, I think I had an idea for purple guy that he could barely do for his time in this kind of like first season of mine. Which I mean, I can say purple guy can still be around in different places in different timing whenever that he's around in the pizzeria. But again, I don't think Purple Guy ever gets to remain being killed by ever the animatronics. He'll only get killed in like the spring lock. I think it'll only be a good idea for him to be killed in the spring lock in like Springtrap spring lock suits, and then that's where he pretty much remains to die again, and then whatever exactly. So yeah, and I mean, we could probably put like a few deleted scenes for Purple Guy that actually will consider to like have a little bit of like some footage by killing some children, whenever there's like, about the Bite 87, like whenever like the child already dies at the Bite 87, that's when Purple Guy can recently kill like, let's just say pretty much kills like the previous children that pretty much is like from however of like the role of somebody plays like Freddy Fazbear, that I actually consider that will probably be James. And then of course with Bonnie, well, he'll probably be killed exactly as well. He'll probably be played as Woody. And then of course, well, usually as I say as before, that Elsa, well, she'll probably be killed by the exact same conclusion that will probably be Purple Guy again. And then as in for like me, well, I pretty much will play the role of like different roles that would be Foxy, Shadow Freddy, Purple Guy, and more likely Springtrap and Spring Bonnie, which that's what I can probably do to do the roles of that. By any chance to that too. Yeah, I'll have to say that I will agree that, yeah, Purple Guy will have man of his own role exactly being William Afton, which I can't believe he'll still come back exactly into this season, which even though you did said that you've already beat him in the game, but he'll only return as a plush version that is only consumed to be in the plush version of the series, of the season, in your channel. So, all I gotta say, by the way, by any chance that, well, Purple Guy will still remain being the villain like always, and he'll pretty much still remain to be the employees, as long that he'll keep like everything else insisted, or whatever like the animatronics' system hardwares, or like systems still remain to stay fine as their proper places, then that's pretty much what we can do for now and have that idea be better. So I can agree onto that right there. I actually will agree with that. And oh yes, as in for like the fifth game, or should I say not the fifth game, I'm talking about like is like Babies Underground, Pizza Palace. So what we're gonna talk about that next is that, well, let's just say we're gonna be talking about like there will be like some same events that will go on that Purple Guy still remains to live. Exactly, but there will be two different roles that's being a little bit confusing to some people, or maybe as some not having been confused between with William Afton and Michael Afton. Well, it'll seem two different similarities being confused at the same time, but a little bit considering strange of knowing what we'll be having different events, which there might be a little bit of some theories that might be a little bit confusing between having like either the side of good or evil that only become to the Aftons that only considers to be William or just Michael in general. But yeah, it'll probably be a bit confusing as we'll see where that goes. And then, as in for like the Nightmare House, let's just say that there will be a child that only will consume to go on and fight the nightmares himself and will actually just like, kind of buzz them away until we have like an absolute good idea by seeing where this goes and just like seeing who probably lives or dies in like Purple Guy's house, known as more likely the Nightmare House. Just pretty much what that's gonna be like. So all I gotta say here, and might as well have to agree here that, well, it's pretty interesting that we're gonna see where this goes for like whatever like the next number that goes that only relates to like the FNAF plush that only remains to be the next number. So all I will have to agree that it'll still remain being all season ones. That goes into different spots of the pile of the collection by saying is like, it'll probably be like Fredbear's Family Diner Plush, season one. And then just goes from 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. It'll keep going from every single ones that'll actually keep staying the exact same number. but only be moving from like the FNAF move. Just like having like the number being changed from each similar times that changes. And as I could really say from this agreement, that well, you probably have to say that you did a very interesting job with the ideas that you probably would have given. For more of the ideas that you did was actually pretty good and very interestingly talented. Very good ideas there, Devin-Foxy Remastered. And I have to say that you're a very good, interesting second king of Five Nights at Freddy's. Even though that you did take the security guard position, even though that you did take the security guard job, but pretty much whenever you got ready to face like Freddy Fazbear and his gang, and pretty much had like different face off against the others, or pretty much a few others in the past that considers to try to keep on getting to you in the office. But I have to say that you did a very good job with that in the past. Even though you had different things to deal with, but we can all agree to be proud that you did a very good job. And speaking of all of that, you pretty much are doing like a few, like, let's just say a few return visits. Is that right? Why, thank you, David Parks. Thank you for saying that I have like very good ideas. Thank you. That actually really means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that to you, man. I appreciate that. So I can say a fair amount of good agreements there is that it's a fair agreement and a fair point. That I'd say that's actually a fair point with you and your idea. So heck, I actually will give you that as a good idea. And what can I say about what's going to go on next with different like events with Freddy's? Well, let's just say that there will be a little bit of like bit of the news, which I don't know if I could really hire some news characters that might probably be in different scenes of the characters, which I can still try to keep on like seeing what I can do or whatever I'm gonna do lately, since that's gonna probably be having different reasons that might have a different few other controversies or whatever. Or again, if I actually ever get stuck with a word with that anyway, then it is kind of what it is if I ever got stuck with that word. But very much likely it just wouldn't be that easy for me to speak. But I can really agree and say this to you, David Parks, is that it's a very good agreement by saying is like, however, that there will be like a few other characters that still remain to live, but pretty much remains to be evil. That still used to be good, but gets to be flipped to being evil, and then started to have like different compassions, by which animatronics that remains to probably be on good or evil, that remains to probably have different points. And then I actually did want to say is, I actually did say that yeah, I did do a few other like other stuff back then lately, since I've already did like the revisited of Freddy Fazbear's 1, 2, 3, and 4, then 5, which I'm probably about to make my sixth one anyway. Which I am very excited that I will get to do like Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator thing, just to do another revisited one more time, and then that will probably be it. Like if I continue to do more revisited stuff for like doing like a second re-round, then that actually would still consider to be still remains to be a good idea, which that'll still be a good idea. Trust me, that actually will be a good idea. And oh, speaking of pointing it out exactly, is that well, I did have a few other ideas that could probably be working as well, and have a very, very, very good idea that we'll actually consider having another boss. Another boss that actually works at another location that will probably be in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator stuff that probably will go on in there. So yeah, I actually would say that aren't you probably going to be hiring like Jay somebody, since it's probably been a long time in my past gaming, in like my FNAF past gaming, that's pretty much for been in a bit of a while to actually refresh in a little bit of memory to know what I could probably be seeing at the moment. So yeah, that's just what I want to be pointing out to say is that at least that's actually a very good point, that I actually will probably want to be like contacting the guy's number, or pretty much you could be contacting the guy's number, back at like Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator, the boss basically who still works over there, which that's a very interesting point. Well, I could say this, that, well, I've actually been thinking about that question for some quite a time after you did told me a little bit back at, whenever it was like Baby's Pizza Palace, Well, you did mention to me off recording after the stream or whatever you were doing. I have to say that, well, we did talk for a little bit of quite a time about like the owner of the six pizzeria establishment of like Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator. Let's just say that I probably will like talk to Mr. J again. Talking about like J something that I might actually find in the handbook that I might actually be looking in the phone book. Since barely that I did have a phone book back then, but all I can still do is just memorize and know the person if somebody ever does like give me a bit of a talk, once I ever do talk to Fred, or maybe have like a few talking to a few other security guard employees to know who like Jay even is, that works in the sixth location. That way I can probably like get his number to talk to him and just see where this goes and see where we can probably have all that to be settled. And then as in for like the Ultimate Custom Night, let's just say that there will be the exact same thing again, but differently, with some characters that will still remain to be available, that remains to be in the current Custom Night, the Ultimate Custom Night, that currently remains to be in there. The animatronics that still remains to be. Or if some characters are not, then we'll still consider to keep having the same ones to be in there. But the truth of the matter is that there only will be two separates. One will probably be the Ultimate Custom Night. That only will be the very original. And then number two is pretty much having the Rejected Custom Night. It means whenever some other animatronics weren't available to come to visit back into the Ultimate Custom Night in the UCN, well, it'll probably be in a different hard spot to put in. So we'll pretty much put replacement animatronics to pretty much be assisted whenever they're actually being in the Rejected Custom Night. And after that's over, you pretty much will have to do the last one, last season. Well, let's just say in the last season, it'll probably be involved with Help Wanted, and that's when the whole thing could be over. Like, there'll be no more returns, no more reruns, or no more finishes of the season. It only will be the last kaput, which means it could be all over the season and be done. So yeah, that's when like the very last one is over. Which yes, it'll probably be like that, and that's all I could say for the very end of the entire series of your season. So we could probably be doing all of that from there, by any chances. Oh, I see. I see. All right then. Well, isn't there anything else, David Parks, before we probably like end the meeting? Since like, well, I actually did have one question to tell you, David Parks, is that here's his question. The question is, what about doing the behind the scenes and slash bloopers one? Like, aren't we gonna probably be like doing that one, for example, by having like the behind the scenes and slash bloopers and stuff? Which that's a very good question. I should probably be asking you for the same question, but aren't we going to probably be doing that, by the way? Parks, by the way, are we going to probably be doing that? To be honest, by the way, Devin-Foxy, to be very completely honest, is that I'll say this, is that to be fair with you and the fair agreement I can say is that, well, I will think about it with the behind the scenes and the bloopers. Since you've already did that before by many times and many times in a row, that I think you've done that a lot of times before, but I think I may think about that and may say that we can still do that once we actually will keep on like continuing the series of the season and then see where this goes, as long as we'll do it to make it perfect. Then that's when we'll continue to keep on with like seeing where all that goes. Like, from the beginning all the way to the last. And that's when we'll pretty much like end like the very last one that we'll do the end like the whole season, and then just like, as in a good way, by actually wrapping all that up exactly, having it from like Fredbear's Family Diner all the way to like Help Wanted. That'll probably be like the very last thing to do, and the very last what will even happen. And also, yes, the animatronics will get more camera time as pretty much per usual. from each other similarity of every single one. And then most likely security guards will have that too. And like every character is pretty much equal to have like their own separate camera time for different center minutes, or maybe it just flips onto flip with character to character that gets onto scene to scene, like every single which one. So yes, it'll probably will have to do. And oh yes, as in we're gonna probably start with the special. Let's just say that we'll start on with the special by doing the living tombstone. Exactly, just for like some old kicks, just for something very interesting, for like having like the tombstone for like the animatronics to pretty much scare the security guard from out of like jump scares when like the yada 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 that pretty much starts singing or whatever basically, which those are gonna probably be amount of separates. Like, as long as, like I said, there will be some separates, then there only will be amount of separates coming from, like, whatever that's going to be started. So, I'll probably will go on and on to kind of agree with you there, by any chance, by any ways. Alright, David Parks. Guess we finally came to a solution and finally came on with the idea that, well, we are finally going to release the season on the 700 subscribers special, David Parks, and it's going to be an official, and it will be making as an official. And also, pleasure doing business, by the way, David Parks. And also, as long as you find somebody that is in the sixth location that is J something, as long as that will probably like make that as a discussion, or probably like find another character who probably will be like the role of like J somebody, then that's pretty much what we're gonna do. Since like yeah, it's gonna probably be a little refreshing to be a little bit differently to refresh my memory back then in the sixth location by doing the simulator of Freddy Fazbear's, which that actually was a very interesting game and a very interesting way how to do business. And all I can say, to be fair enough, by the way, David Parks, is that, well, as long as you do give me some info about with Jay's name, then that's when you might report back to me with that name. So if you ever do talk to me about that name, then we'll talk. Just off recording, not with real recording and stuff. But since we are probably like still dealing with the meeting, since we are probably like almost finished with the meeting, is I do appreciate you very much again, David Parks, for actually being a very good business owner of the original pizzeria. Well, pretty much with Fred, that's pretty much dealing with like Fredbear's Family Diner like usual. So, anyways, David Parks, we have to say that we are going to pretty much like make that as an official. So, anyway, shake hands. Alright, well, we have definitely finally came to a conclusion that we can probably like end the meeting and then pretty much end with like our meeting for the first time in this channel of ours of the parody. So all I can say, by the way, that man, things are going to be very, very interesting once we do open our very season, and very much like we begin our season. Like, I think it'll probably be around like this year or maybe next year, who knows. Like, whenever that we do reach to the goal, or should I say you reach to the goal of 700, then that's when we'll actually will release the season. Like, since you already did make a very good point that you did say, that was a very good, interesting points that you did, and I'm pretty proud of you for actually just like doing what you got to deal with and just do what you're doing, like your own like spare time or whatever. But I have to say that, well, we're gonna probably do like a very amount of good business. Once we do release the season from the beginning, once we do from all the way from Fredbear's, all the way down and down memory lane, all the way to pretty much Help Wanted. Exactly. That's where it probably already ends. Like the very thing that lastly ends. Like, we don't have to go all the way far from it. Since like it's gonna probably be from endless loops to endless loops of every sinkholes that will leap to leap. So yeah, that's probably why we don't want to go any more further from it. And yes, that's when we'll probably will end our season with only just Help Wanted, and that's pretty much where it all ends and finishes, until we actually get all the way done from it. So yes, that's pretty much what I would say. What do you think? And oh yes, I'll definitely shake your hand. Alright, I'll catch you later, David Parks. I'll catch you later. And once I do talk to Golden Freddy, then I'll pretty much be heading back to my own place. Just for now. And I'll see you later again, David Parks. Bye. Well, alright then, Devin-Foxy. Remastered. Alright then. Well, I'll see you later and catch you later. Someday. I'll catch you later, man. Bye. Hey, Golden Freddy. Are you there, dude? Are you there? Ha 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 ha. It's me, Golden Freddy. Ha 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 ha. And hello there, Devin-Foxy. How you doing? And you wanted to see me? Well, yes, I did want to see you, Golden Freddy. Yeah, I definitely did want to see you. So, anyway, all I can say, by the way, is that, yes, I did want to see you. And before I did left exactly, again, I do frankly apologize after when there was like enough time because, well, due to the fact I actually just wanted to like get on with the reaction video and just did want to do exactly just do what I had to do and just do that kind of thing. You know what I mean, Golden Freddy? I see. Well, in that case, in that case, then, well, I'll say that I'll have to agree, and Midas will be fair enough with that decision. Is that, well, even if it was your decision that you wanted to do a reaction video by the end of, like, the discussion with you and Freddy Fazbear General, then all I can say is that, well, don't worry. Most of us always make mistakes. Sometimes. I mean, sometimes and always. Ha 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 ha. As long as I could say that I could be able to read from the future, then well, that could be fair enough. That well, some of us may actually make mistakes, and some others don't. Which I do agree to be fully extendedly agree on most likely the agree with like, you know, even if you didn't have enough time to deal with in a reaction video, then all I can say is that I hope that you did an okay job by doing that idea and just whatever that you had to wrap up with things. But again, I do again permanently understand about what you're going to do. So, anyways, it'll be fair enough and quietly fair enough as I agree. So, anyways, yeah, that's what I would have to say by the way, Devin-Foxy. Well, why, thank you, Golden Freddy. I appreciate that. So, anyway, Golden Freddy, yeah, I had to deal with things, but thank you very much for very kindly to just, like, just talk to me anyway, since, like, I know you wanted to, like, talk to me anyway, since I had to deal with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy at the same time, but at least I still did convince them otherwise of like waiting for like the season to be released. Whenever I do get the chance of having 700 subs, then that's pretty much what I could probably would have done and did exactly to get that season out. But unfortunately, I had too many delays just to deal with some other gamings and stuff. Just like dealing with different things I actually would rather deal with in my spare time. Well then, ha 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 ha. Well, I can say this, that I agree. Even though I could probably well say this, that yeah, I have to say that even though you had to deal with lots of things, like gaming for example, but whenever you get past all of that by the meantime, then you could probably still consider releasing the season if it's near 700. But if not, then don't worry. Keep on trying, and then we'll see where different lines or different paths even take you there. Ha 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 ha. But anyways, well, I did I will admit that I heard all amount of the conversation just for a bit while I was taking a nap, in the kitchen, where I always used to sleep. Whenever I want a nap on the couch, then it's exactly what I need on the couch. But as in for now in the basement, that's where you pretty much are in the basement with me, then all I can say this, that well, in the future amount of the time that well hopefully again that whenever the season does get released, whenever you are ready to release it to make an official of it, then pretty much you can be totally ready for that. Ha 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 ha. But anyways, hope that you have a good time releasing this season of ours, in your first channel lately, and see where this goes. And of course, I did hear out of the conversation, which I'd say to you and Freddie that you both are pretty much being a little based for a little bit and having a little bit of a based ideas and matter of like questionings from one another and like having like from there to there or here from here. You know what I'm talking about there? But yes, I do say that you probably might as well need to get going anyway. So yes, Devin-Foxy, I'll say this is that once you do inform me and my friends or the boss, then that's when you will come to us or pretty much have like to talk with us, off recording again. So that way that we'll have like some time to make the episode names and make those like very good efficient names. Or it comes from your fans to make the ideas too. But once those again will probably work, then one of them might work. Who knows? Anyways, I'll see you later. And plus, I'll let you go since you probably will need to get back what you not gotta be doing. Well, thanks, Golden Freddy. Thank you. Alright, well, I should probably definitely get going, and I appreciate you right there by any chance, Golden Freddy, and yeah, I'll see you later, dude. And we'll definitely talk. We'll talk off recording. We'll definitely be talking about that too. So, anyways, Golden Freddy, I'll see you later, and I appreciate you very much again for like telling me about all that and having the conversation between me and Freddy. Like, I was definitely being pretty honest with him, and then he was honest with me for a bit. So, anyways, Golden Freddy, I'll see you later, man. Have a good day, and yeah, see you later, man. Bye. Finally back. I gotta say that I finally am back. Man, all I have to say and might as well admit that, man, the meeting went so well with me and David Parks that we actually at least agreed something. That we at least agreed something that actually finally worked. Was just like me and him talking about like releasing the Five Nights at Freddy's season plush around like the 700 subscriber special. Whatever the chance that we do say 700 would be better and an official, then it will probably be better. And man, at least I finally got to talk to Golden Freddy again, which at least I did say that I'm actually at least learning a bit of my powers of like teleportation. More likely the half of the powers of Golden Freddy that gave me the powers of his. That way I can instantly teleport. That way if some characters needing my help, then that's exactly when I might teleport to them. In their own kind of world. But at least I gotta say that at least it's finally gonna work. We're finally releasing the 700 subscriber special if we ever do get near to that point, which we haven't got there yet. But at least I'm proud to say that at least me and David Parks at least got something in common for a little bit of ideas and a few agreements or just lesser disagreements. Like there were like more agreements than disagreements. So I guess I should say that we finally will work on the season and get it on with and just see where this goes or leads on. So, yeah, anyway. And oh, by the way, if I didn't see you guys back there from the beginning, then that's just pretty much what I was talking about anyway from the beginning. So, hey everyone, I'll pretty much say that I am Devin-Foxy Remastered. Thank you guys again for watching this parody video. Thank you. And again to most likely everybody for pretty much for like having to wait upon the season, which will probably be me making an official, which I haven't made that just yet, but all I can say is thank you. And thank you again very much for enjoying this parody video. Yours truly by me, Devin-Foxy Remastered, the very one and the very only. So anyway, thank you. And again, I'll pretty much see you guys in the next video. And without that being said, give this video a like and comment and subscribe at the bell being notified so that way that you will not miss a single video that comes on this channel. So anyway, I am Devin-Foxy Remastered. Thank you, have an amazing day, and having a good night, and I'll see you guys in the next time. And then, especially, in the next video. Bye-bye, everyone. Devin-Foxy Remastered is signing on out. Bye-bye, everyone. See you later. And don't forget that Sub-Zero's game is coming up soon and will to be coming up next. So anyway, get excited, and hopefully as everybody is excited as I am, which the game is probably going to start whenever I actually will decide having it started. So thank you everyone. I appreciate it for the best offers and very much of the appreciation of the entire thing, which I actually was wanting to spend the time of making this parody video for pretty much anybody who enjoys this parody video. By having this parody video by saying is Devin-Foxy Remastered meets David Parks. And also, aka The Meeting, which it'll probably be more likely in the title, so thank you, and I'll see you in the next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Devin-Foxy Remastered, the second king of Five Nights at Freddy's, and Will wants to be the second king. We'll see you next time. Sayonara. See you later. Bye bye, everyone.